And it was just like in a split second of time. I didn't have time to try and move or do anything. And the jack flew out, and this 10 to 12,000 pounds of weight fell through the middle of my body like a blunt guillotine, because it's, it's probably 6 inches wide. It just fell through the middle of my body. My body wasn't going to stop 5 to 6 tons. Randy, if you can imagine 10 to 12,000 pounds of weight dropping, let's say, maybe a foot, and hitting the cement, it was such a loud noise, like an explosion noise, kaboom, with the cement, with the steel come down and hitting the cement. The problem was I was between it and the cement, and it just fell right through me. Thank God that the driver's side wheel was still on. So the passenger side of the truck fell, the axle fell through the middle of me, and when it fell through me, blood shot out of my body, out of my mouth, from the liquid hydraulic effect of things. So it pushed through the middle, and blood shot out of my mouth, a big blob of it, and it came out of the cement. I remember that split second of realization, of realizing what just happened, and knowing, being around this big stuff my whole life, knowing what that would look like without even looking down. I'm just going to stop for 1 second. And in the Bible, we see a lot where when bad things happen, God tells us the first thing we are to do is to run to him. He over and over, he tells us, pray about all things, pray without ceasing, come to me, all these promises. He tells us to come to him. But our human nature, a lot of times looks within to the arm of the flesh. And it's interesting because when this truck fell on me, in that split second, when I realized that the truck had fallen on me, the very first instinct of human Bruce, I grabbed that axle, because it's got lips on it, big lips. I grabbed it in not thinking, but just reaction. I'm going to bench press this thing off of my body, 10 to 12,000 pounds of weight. I mean, obviously It's impossible, but that was my first gut instinct, was to try and take care of my own. And then there's that realization, you can't lift the truck up. And then looking down and realizing, oh my gosh, Randy, when I looked down, the axle had fallen through me. And on the left side where the axle is touching the cement, right over here on my left, the two night shift trauma doctors get into an argument. They're loudly yelling right on my left over here. They're loudly yelling with each other. It scared me that they started fighting. They started arguing with each other. And so they're doing their thing. They turned me 90 degrees, use these foam things. They're putting me back in for another round of CAT scans. And when they put me back in, everything was like you turn a light, a rheostat. Everything started going dark. And I realized at that moment, I'm dying. They pulled me out of the thing. They rushed me around. I went around in a circle into this operating room. It was all stainless and bright lights. The last thing I remember was a green mask coming down where they're going to do this emergency surgery, and they're going to whatever with this green mask. I remember thinking, as a mechanic, I'm thinking, finally, they're going to fix it. They're finally going to do something about it. So I wake up, a month later, and the first thing I didn't know I had a breathing tube. The first thing I wanted to do was say, I saw angels. And so when I realized I couldn't talk, I didn't know why, but I realized, okay, there's a breathing tube. It's now been a month, and I want to tell people the angels. So I motioned for something to write with. So my wife gives me something to write with. And I remember putting it down, and I couldn't write. It took me 6 months before I could read or write. It took 6 months for me to get back reading and writing. And I was so frustrated. I just wanted to write the word angel. It's all I wanted to write, but I couldn't do it. So they removed where the truck fell. Adults have 18 to 20 some feet of small intestine length. They removed all of my small intestine, including my duodenum, half my stomach, except they saved two pieces of small intestine. It was just a little bit over 100 centimeters, which is what they call short gut magic number. I was just a little bit over that, so I should be able to live. Doctor said 10 years. After 3 or 4 months, one of the pieces they tried to save died. So now I'm under the 100 centimeters. They do another operation to remove that. And I'm being fed intravenously. I'm losing weight, starving to death. I'm type A. I can't hold still. I'm always got to be active. I'm in the hospital at this point, 5 months or something. I'm getting crazy, stir crazy. And the doctor comes in one day, and I said, look, you have to let me out. you can't keep me here. I'm leaving. Give me a colostomy bag. Because at this point, I just had a plastic tube coming on my belly. I said, just let me out of the hospital with a bag, whatever. And they said, Mr. Veneta, you're not going to leave the hospital. I said, you can't keep me here forever. I remember saying, this isn't a communist country. You can't make me stay in the hospital. And the doctor didn't laugh, but she shook her head and she said, Mr. Veneta, we can only keep you alive 6 months a year at the very most. And I remember that's the first time they had said that. First time somebody actually said it out loud. And so I did end up going home. I'm losing weight every single day, losing weight. God woke up a guy across the United States in New York, 2 mornings in a row, told him, buy a plane ticket, fly to Wisconsin, pray for that guy. If you do, I'll do a miracle. He blew it off the first day. The second day when God woke him up at the exact same time in the morning, he ended up buying the ticket. He flew to Wisconsin. He prayed for me in the hospital rain. And when he did, literally a creative miracle happened and God gave me back half of my intestines. The very first time I spoke, I made the mistake of kind of attributing the accident. The way I stated it the very first time I spoke was that God caused / allowed that accident so that I would have this great testimony so that the ministry would be more powerful. And when the next day, that was a Sunday, the next day, Monday, the Holy Spirit took me to the woodshed, really. And the Holy Spirit said, don't ever misrepresent me like that again. That's the exact words. He said, don't ever misrepresent me like that again. I did not cause that accident. I didn't want that accident to happen. It's your rebellion. I tried to prevent it. I sent Lori. It's your rebellion. It wasn't to get a great ministry. We don't need an accident for you to have a great ministry. Could have done it a lot of other ways if you had just been obedient. It's Romans 8:20, him making something good come out of bad. Not that he causes great testimony, so it could be that. He didn't want it. He tried to prevent it. Tried to prevent me from losing everything financially. Tried to prevent me from having to spend a year in the hospital. All the physical things I've had to deal with ever since. I mean, all the stuff. He tried to prevent that, but my rebellion, human nature thinks we know best, really.
It is a rebellion, and that's an important lesson, I think. People feel like, some people feel like, well, I wish I had a greater impact or, a greater ministry, a greater purpose that God had ordained for me. And the fact of the matter is, it's the people in front of them right now, whether it be a family or the person at the store or whoever. That's the ministry, and it's powerfully impactful because that's one life, and God doesn't see us in the multitudes. He sees us as a single beloved individual, His creation. So please don't think of ministry in the macro and that you have to be on the stage or have a bunch of people. No, it's really not that way, and you're absolutely that was my experience and the experience of many with whom we've spoken, that indeed it is our rebellion, but God, He knows our heart, and He knows what.
I just finished reading your book, and I think the biggest thing that touched me about your book was just the fact that Jesus was not judgmental to you, and He just showed you this unconditional love. And I really needed to hear that. For me personally, that was the most touching part of that book. Absolutely, that I need that. I think we all need that. Need it.
I can't go there, Bruce, or else I start to tear up or get emotional. Yeah. My wife said, one of these times when you actually go there, maybe you can control your emotions a bit more than others on this program said, don't tell him that, because let him all go ahead and be effusive, because this is not normally my way, but it's so powerful, as you know. It's so absolutely powerful, but you're so right. The absolute love of God is more than words can express. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like further information, go to our website at randyk.org, where our mission is simple: to share the great news of God's love.